Welcome back to episode 2 of my 2024 sailing on the west coast of Scotland. Last time I came from Plockton Harbour down the Kyle Loch Alsh and round to the island of Canna, where I spent 2 days just settling into being back on Wara. In this episode we'll go from Canna Harbour up the west side of Skye to the westernmost tip, and from there carry on across the Minch to the Sound of Harris. I had a very favourable wind these next 2 days with a force 4 northeasterly wind, and so I was close reaching on the starboard tack. Also gave me good shelter in the Moonen Bay anchorage. There we go, just a nice breeze, probably force 5 in the gusts at least. Got a bit of a reef in the Genoa, but the full main out. Say goodbye to Canna and the mystery lookout shelter. Back to the black cool in there in the far distance, probably just about visible. Sailing up this west coast of Skye, catching the afternoon sunlight, and it's really pretty spectacular. Up ahead there, distance is the headland where I'm heading for tonight. Just on the inside of that is a little bay. I'm hoping we'll be sheltered. So I'm about halfway through this passage from Canna to an anchorage called Moonen Bay, which is just next to East Point on the northwest corner of Skye. I'm planning to go in there for the night and then hopefully have the same wind tomorrow morning, which will just take me nicely across to Sound of Harris on a close reach and go into another anchorage called Opsay Basin, which is a bit south of the Coke Channel that I'm going to take through the Sound. So I'll have to sort of head north from there until I meet the channel and then follow the channel waypoints that I've put on the chart to get me to the western side of the Sound. Boat earlier on with the wind vane, just somehow it wasn't stabilising nicely. The wind was a bit intermittent as well, which didn't help, but I think I had too much mainsail and not enough jib, so I ended up putting another reef in the reef back in the mainsail and having a bit more jib out, and certainly Wara sails better like that, I think, with reef the main first. Seems to be the way forward. This is the Antares chartlet, which shows the anchorage area at Moonen Point, and it does say that it's often not suitable with the prevailing winds, but the northeasterly wind did mean it was quite sheltered, although there were some strong downdrafts on occasion which pull you around on the anchor.
it made a good passage anchorage to help me on my way to Sound of Harris. Well, just got into Moonen Bay. Good old Antares charts does it again. It's a very dramatic anchorage with these steep cliffs, no beach at all. But the chart says there are 2 patches of mud or sand where you get a good holding, and I have. This chart extract shows my passage across the little Minch, or the Minch, which the north going tidal stream wasn't favourable till about midday, so I spent the morning doing a bit of baking on using my Omnia stovetop oven, and set off about midday on the crossing. The crossing went well, except that halfway across I think I met some overfalls where there's some shallow water sort of reefs, and the wind dropped and it was just very bumpy and not much speed for a while, and then it picked up again, which was a slightly strange phenomenon. When you get to the Sound of Harris, it's just interesting to look at the different ways through. The Sound of Harris looks on the chart like a relatively wide stretch of water to pass through, but it is peppered with islands, islets, cairns, underwater rocks and all sorts of hazards. And there are 3 main ways that you can get through. The standard one that the ferries take and go to Leverborough and go all the way through is the Stanton Channel in green, which just goes along the north side. That is relatively clear. The Cope Channel, which then goes through fairly much the middle of the sound, and towards the other side you skim past the top of Berneray before heading out into open water. The southernmost channel in red is the Grey Horse Channel, which no longer goes all the way through the sound because of a causeway built across from North Uist to Berneray. When I got to the Sound of Harris, I started up the beginning of the Grey Horse Channel, which takes you into this anchorage nicely shown on the Antares charts called Opsay Basin, which is where I anchored for the night. It's a very different anchorage to yesterday's, which was surrounded by 300-foot cliffs. This is essentially a group of little islands, or islets even, all just a few metres high, but providing good shelter from the waves and reasonable shelter from the wind. And it's another beautiful afternoon, so had a pretty amazing fast passage over here as well, so still enjoying that. I had a pretty good night's sleep on anchor there in Opsay Basin, and also did some more planning just to get me through the Sound of Harris the next day on my way to St Kilda. I've just put these little extracts in to show you all the obstacles that are present in the sound, and in the top right hand corner there, where there is a red ellipse in close up here, that's this area blown up. You can see these red lines are some sandbanks that sort of block your way, and if there's any swell coming in from the Atlantic, there will be breakers over these, and so you have to follow that blue line in very close to the island of Berensey just to avoid the breakers. And so that was what was awaiting me for me the next day as I head out to my destination of St Kilda. That's all for now in this episode. Thanks a lot for watching, and please feel free to leave any comments or questions. It's always fun to have some interaction with people. Cheers.